All right, we're live.
Hello, everyone.
Whoa. Guys, I'm here with the Pokemon Absol. No more hamster game.
No more hamster game.
All right. How do I introduce myself in these? I don't remember. Proper intro. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of the Loafing About podcast. I am your host, your gracious host, Meet Loafers. Today, I am joined by the one and only AbsolX Guardian.
Hello. I'm
Yes.
kind of FNAF fandom expert on occultism and esotericism and religious history, which is not like something you think the FNAF fandom would have, but it keeps being relevant. I mean, like even the field stuff, which I am also kind of I am the person who discovered Lynn McTaggart.
You're
He's
not
like
you're not the hero the FNAF fan wanted, but you're the hero we deserve. We need, I guess.
I'm gonna read big. Yeah, I mean, again, I've said this like multiple times. I'm so surprised that Matt Pat did not latch onto the quantum mysticism stuff when Fetch came out, because the game theory I know is all about like connecting real life stuff to games and like using that as edutainment.
Yeah, like his first FNAF video.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm thinking more of his FNAF 4 theory before Dream theory, where he talked about Phineas Gage and ice pick lobotomies. Yeah, so yeah, I'm just gonna assume that people watching this know about the field.
The field. This is
But
the
yeah,
field
so,
has been, I think, the first topic in conversation in both of the podcasts I've filmed so far.
well,
So,
I mean, it's a very
it's a lot.
underexplored dimension in FNAF, and I think it's what, like, I guess we can't call them the new gen theorists,
The new
because that's like
gen
Vivi and
theorists.
PG. So we're like the third. That's like the focus of
I'm the
third
Gen
generation
Alpha
yeah, of
theorist.
like people inspired by Gibby and TD. And like
We're sort of postmodernist theorists.
Yeah. So yeah, so I've probably like, I guess my like most famous FNAF video was one I made where I talked about connecting alchemy to ideas in FNAF, and like the main gist is the idea of like William's quest for eternal life, and also like trying to bring David back through the mimic. Like that's all a metaphor for the Philosopher's Stone. And the big like see their moment is the fact that the Philosopher's Stone is often personified as the marriage between King Sun and Queen Moon. And I was listening to a podcast one day and they mentioned that, and I was like, wait a minute. And then I like read a bunch of books about I read one book about that and then made a video on it.
I'm getting some pictures in here. We got the field.
The field, yes.
What did you say?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was
just kind of recapping my alchemy video.
Yes.
For people who haven't seen it. But yeah, the field, again, my other thing you might know me from is being in Gibby's mega video, where I kind of talk about like connecting like historical like systems of esotericism with like quantum mysticism and new age stuff like that. And I'm actually so like every Lynn McTaggart is never directly mentioned by name in any of the FNAF like stuff that has to do with like the field or pseudoscience. And I think that is on purpose, because she is also like an anti-vaxxer and anti-all medicine that isn't just believing yourself better.
Well, I mean, there is a Dr. Taggart, which is
Yeah, there's a
close.
Dr. Taggart, and he specifically his attempt at protecting himself with his mental energies fails, and I think, like, Scott's whole
Mm,
inspiration is, like, exploring the, um, like, the dark implications of these kinds of worldviews if they were real that their, spokespeople do not explore. But the thing is that there's a bit of, like, kind of eclectic mix of different pseudoscience topics mentioned in FNAF. Like, you got his name's escaping me right now, but he's the CIA guy who tortured plants with polygraphs.
Orchard plants
Um,
with polygraphs.
yeah. He's big and fetch, and then also the use of, like, the 0 point field. That is, as far as I can tell, a Lynn McTaggart special of specifically calling the idea of, like, a quantum like, the ideas in the field aren't unique, but specifically say
Mm-hmm.
connecting it with, like, the
Ooh.
real, atomic physics thing of the 0 point field is her, and then also, like, every, like, weird reference, like Masaru Emoto and,
Mm-hmm.
homeopathy and the broad, like, staring experiments. They're all in one of Lynn McTaggart's 2 books on the field, and also one of them's called The Intention Experiment, and, like, that's kind of a key word for, like, using the field, like,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Jake sends Andrew to baseball heaven using a bat made out of intention. And so I think it's definite that is what Scott read and was like, "Oh, this is an interesting magic
Yeah.
system."
And I mean it also it's sort of like the whole like manifestation thing, you know. You put your
Yeah, yeah,
intentions out in the universe and that
like, that's the, originally the New Thought movement, and originally that was, like, started by a guy named Phineas Quimby, so, like, maybe that's a thing. But that's also just, like, a spin-off from spiritualism, and, like, I know The Doctor made a video about stone tape theory recently, and stone tape theory is just people attempting to science ghosts, and, like,
mm-hmm.
I like the way that, like, FNAF sits between, like, the scientific like, science fiction and fantasy and, like, explores, stuff that's, like, takes ideas that were formulated as science and is like, "Okay, well, what they're not true, but what if they were?" And, again, all these things are connected, and, like, that's what I like about studying them.
Yeah. And it's a surprisingly deep rabbit hole. You can just keep making connections back to I mean, maybe I'm just like completely FNAF brained at this point.
No, 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 so, like, my 2 main alchemy sources, one of them, like, my dictionary of alchemical symbolism, I didn't have when I made my original alchemy video,
Mm-hmm.
and it talks about, like, the homunculus, and it's like the homunculus is a metaphor for the philosopher's stone, and I'm like, "Wait, an artificially created being as a metaphor for the philosopher's stone?"
It's glitch trap.
Well, no, I'm thinking more of the
Well,
mimic, 'cause like that but,
well,
like,
that's one of
it's
the
all
mimics.
they're all attempts at the philosopher's
Yeah.
stone, and I think also just, like, the motif of, like, putting things back together of, like, the, Neoplatonist elements in alchemy of, like, the world was all originally one thing, which, like, also, like, the universe being one thing, that's the field, and then it, like, split into different things, and, like, that's the process of creation, and, like, that made the world imperfect, and so like,
Mm-hmm.
there's, like, a spiritual element of real historical alchemy of, like, by making the Philosopher's Stone, it's also, like, a journey of spiritual self-enlightenment, and you're putting the world and you're putting yourself back together.
Like the Fredbear plush.
Yes, and then also even the whole, like, everything out there has an effect in
Mm-hmm.
here.
Yeah. As
The
above,
whole
so
reason
below.
why they're connecting, like, the process, like, fantastical process of metallurgy with, like, personal self-enlightenment was that the big hermetic idea of as above, so below,
Mm-hmm.
that's like the big thing behind alchemy and like the idea that the macrocosm and the microcosm are going to reflect each other. That like really defined a big way like early like proto scientists thought about things. And it's FNAF. It's in the FNAF.
Yeah.
Also, when I like name drop something, please feel free to ask me what it is, because there's like
Mm.
so many terms, and I've completely lost track of like what normal history is. Like
Yeah.
when She's Always Nervous reviewed my video, she took the time to read out all of the quotes I put on screen from my citations, just because like my style of making videos if I'm referring to a quote, but like it's not a quote that's important enough to read out loud, I will just put it on screen. Um, and she was, like, stumbling over how to say Paracelsus, and my reaction watching, I was like, "Damn, there's people who have never heard anything about Paracelsus?
You don't know my goat
Uh,
Paracelsus? What
you
the
don't know about the goat Paracelsus,
hell?
the founder of toxicology?"
I can't say I have. I'll be honest.
Yeah, like, I don't know what's normal for people to know, like, w do you know what Hermeticism is at all?
Uh, I've like a basic understanding. I don't think most people do.
Yeah, like, I don't know what's a normal thing for people to know. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so, like, if you want me to turn this into just, like, an educational thing of, like, some of the topics I didn't go all that deeply to in my alchemy video, and then also, like, my alchemy video is a lot more structured where I talk a little bit about,
Mm-hmm.
like, what the different things alchemy has been throughout the centuries and like which stuff is relevant, because like the like people coming up with this mythology is like for some of them it is like a religious mystical thing, and then for others it's
Yeah.
just like a coded way to describe things, and for others it is just like metaphor. Like we still use metaphor when teaching chemistry in the modern day. It's just the metaphor is not as cool.
Mm-hmm. No green lions eating the sun
No
anymore.
green lions eating the
We
sun.
need we need to go back to that, I think.
Well, no, I did read a very the thing that, like, caused that to click in my brain is so something I'm relating to is the, 1632 or, like, Ring of Fire series, which is, like, this massive, like, interconnected series of books about what if a West Virginian town was sent back to the year 1632. And, like,
Mm-hmm.
in the literary magazine they publish, they have, like, a nonfiction section where they go into, like, the, like, logistical like, explaining a lot of the, like, decisions they made about why, like, certain world building things exist in the
Yeah.
book, and one of them was someone, because like, they're bringing all this modern chemistry back into the early modern period, was, like, using alchemical language to describe the modern properties of mercury, of, like, everything the uptimers know about Mercury, but written in that same, like, metaphorical language.
Mercury, which I did do a little bit of homework for this. I watched some Esoterica videos.
Yes, my goat, Dr. Justin Sledge.
So, from what I understand, alchemists believed basically that every metal was made up of sulfur and mercury.
Yeah, and salt. Yeah,
Salt,
basically that, and,
yes.
like, it's how, like, pure it is, which is, like, how you go from gold
Mm-hmm.
to lead and, like, everything in between, and, like, you'll notice a lot of these systems are, like, sometimes self-contradictory because we're just putting together where, like, mercury is both, like, the underlying thing, but it is also it's also, like, in the procession of metals, but that's
Mm-hmm.
because, again, multiple authors and also, like, a lot of authors show, like, philosophical Mercury and mundane Mercury are different things, which is why I'm like, "Hey, what's described as looking like Mercury, remnant," and also, like,
Remnant.
another big thing about, like, alchemy in a, like, literary context is that a lot of so Jung, who was, like, he was a protege of Freud. He was the guy who came up with, like, the concept of the
Mm-hmm.
collective unconscious,
Yeah.
and he was honestly, like, also an occultist, and he kept trying to formulate ways for like all these systems to have meaning, and he kind of came up with the idea of like the whole system of alchemy reflecting like underlying truths about like human psychology. Um, and so that's where we get the idea of Mercury representing the collective unconsciousness, which again
The
that is
collective unconscious. Yeah, remnant.
that yeah, and like that's also the field because a lot of like Jungian ideas influenced the New Age. Actually, like the whole idea of zodiac signs reflecting your personality is
Yeah.
entirely a product of the New Age. If you went back into the
Interesting.
if you went back to like early modern or medieval Europe, they'd think that your zodiac, like your full zodiac chart and how it interfered with what was happening in the planets would influence like how you get certain health conditions and like it could influence your humors, which would influence your
Yes.
personality, but like not as directly as the way it's like they wouldn't be like, oh, you're a Gemini, so you're gonna act like this and this. They'll be
You're a
like,
Gemini.
ah,
You get more yellow bile.
yeah, no, they'd be like, okay, you're a Gemini, and Jupiter is passing through the house of Taurus, which means for the next month you will have more black bile, which will make you more sad. The idea of it being a psychological thing is very much a like neo-Jungian thing.
And I suppose before we get like too into the weeds, you should probably explain just some like basic concepts like the Philosopher's Stone. I'm sure most people have heard
Okay.
of that from like Harry Potter, don't actually know what it is.
Yeah, so a big thing that's missed about the Philosopher's Stone in fictional depictions is that it's so one, it doesn't turn lead into gold. You gotta turn lead into gold to make it. So like if you manage to make the Philosopher's Stone as a side effect, you'd have a process for turning lead into gold. Because also no, like nobody claimed they like nobody who was actually listened to like claimed they ever 100% made the Philosopher's Stone. It was always like something they were trying to research.
Yeah.
Uh, so there is like no full like here's what they thought would make the Philosopher's Stone. Because again, oftentimes you just do get back to like underlying metallurgy and that like a lot of the like especially ancient stuff, it was about like introducing impurities in the metal to change their color
Yeah.
for like cool shit like making statues. And the so yeah, you make the Philosopher's Stone, and that's the process of like causing these metals to become closer to the one of like the state they were in originally. And as you do that, it also requires like emotional, like spiritual self-development on your side as well. And so if someone were to successfully make the Philosopher's Stone, it would be a form of a like ascension or apotheosis for themselves. It's not as like clear as like escaping nirvana, mainly because like they don't think anyone's ever done it, so they can't really describe what happens if you do. But they'd be like, it would be pretty cool, and
It'd
like
be pretty
there's also
cool.
just a general idea of like you have to be a good person to be able to access like the deeper
Yeah.
mysteries of the universe because the whole thing is like it's not what we're doing is this is like what they tell the church. It's like what we're doing isn't unnatural. It's just like God left us a puzzle for enrichment purposes.
We gotta solve
And
it.
if we solve it, which is also like why they believed in like the doctrine of correspondence of like if things are similar, it's because it's a hint God put there for us, even if like this doesn't make any sense. Um, like eating like roots that are like shaped like a heart is good for
Yeah.
your heart. Like that's God. God is like the game designer being like, visual storytelling. This is how they'll
God
figure out.
is Scott putting Easter eggs in the game. Oh,
Yeah.
you seem to think that I put random Easter eggs into this one, but I didn't.
What do you call the dinosaur skeletons?
Uh,
That's referencing like that's several that's like a whole other
yeah.
thing. It was a joke I thought you'd get.
Oh, I get the joke.
Yeah, of okay, so the Yeah, so Philosopher's Stone, making it, it's like ascension, and then it would also you could use that to make the elixir of life, which was the panacea,
Mm-hmm.
which would heal everything and like bring people back from the
Should
dead.
make
So
you immortal.
they make you immortal, but like there's very much like an idea of like spiritual self development, and like that's something Dr. Justin Sledge talked about in the Frankenstein video of like all these I'm just gonna say pre-modern, even though a lot of them are in like the early modern period, because like every fucking section of history has a different modernity. Like the development of modern science is like 2 to 3 centuries into the early modern period.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna say modernity to mean like the 1700s as like the transitionary period between proto scientists and the development of like the scientific method. So like Dr. Sedge talks about like pre-modern like ideas of bringing people back from the dead. A lot of it was like if you're doing it to like use these natural forces, you got to be a good person. And then the whole thing about Victor Frankenstein is like in the transition to modern science, Mary Shelley is seeing that like, oh no, people can just seize the natural world and take what they want from it with force.
Mm-hmm.
Which again, I think is like an interesting thing in like William's research. And like obviously we
Mm-hmm.
know
Yeah.
he's Victor
He's
Frankenstein.
trying to
Um
force himself to live forever by any means necessary.
yeah. And like I don't know, cause like, I've seen some theorists talk about, like, the idea of, like, oh, William, like, violating the natural order and, like, that actually having an effect, like, causing things to, like, the world to fight back,
Mm-hmm.
and I personally, like, need more evidence to believe that because, like, if you just show me a fantasy piece of media, anything that happens in it, I'm going to assume is just something the world allows, because like, that's how the
Yeah.
real world works. Seeker's not here, so I can say that until given textual evidence otherwise, I assume that the rules of the real world apply in a piece of fiction.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, wrong Frankenstein monster.
I couldn't find the. I
There's
mean,
not many illustrations of the proper. I don't know. You can get the one from
I
the
don't know, man.
Frankenstein movie, the new
The new
one, the
one,
new.
he's
Yeah,
more
they do really.
accurate.
It is more active. So the plot events are still quite different, but it gets the themes and also like the design of the creature is quite accurate. And also, something to do throughout the movie is that the primary color schemes are white, red, and black, which are very like alchemically significant. Which
Mm-hmm.
I guess that is something I can talk about because that's an idea that's not in my alchemy video because I didn't have it yet. I had it when I was like talking. Yeah, there's the right
I
Frankenstein's
covered him
creature.
up.
Yeah. Um of like the like I say in my alchemy video, oh, I don't see any kind of like correspondence in the
The colors.
different like the colors with FNAF, but actually I'm wrong.
There's actually there you can see the white, black, and red in this photo.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So the it starts with a nigredo, which is like the first process of making the philosopher's stone. It's the blackening. You just stick something in a vessel until it gets all cooked. And like as this is I guess a little teaser for chroma key theory. Maureen's gonna lay
Ooh.
out all this evidence of like how black represents death,
Mm-hmm.
and then that transitions to like unlife of like you're dead but you came back but like you're not
Yeah.
fully alive again, and so like that's the albedo, and then moving from wait no I want to make sure I get this right, which one's the peacock stage.
Peacock. Is that the one where you like heat it up?
It's oh no, so it's moving from Negredo to Albedo. I was wrong. I thought it was. It's just you get a stage of rainbow-like iridescence,
Ah.
And that's because also like Negredo represents like death and decay already, and
Mm-hmm.
Albedo represents purification.
Yeah.
And so like that's what we're working with here. And then the next one is Rubedo, which is it's red. But and like that's why the Philosopher's Stone is usually that's the last one, and that's why the Philosopher's Stone is usually depicted as red.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes there's citrine as like a bonus stage, which is yellow. But even if you don't, you would still produce gold, which is yellow.
Yeah.
And so like that's the final stage. Now you got Philosopher's Stone, and like that's the like process of both like achieving immortality, but also moving on in FNAF. First you die,
Mm-hmm.
then you achieve unlife.
Yes.
And then you have both agony and ecstasy, which again, these are Chroma Key Theory Part 3 teasers. Red is agony. Maury's already done that one. But then yellow is ecstasy, which is like the other side of the emotional
Yes.
spectrum.
Like the golden ball pit.
Yeah, well, that stuff turns from red to gold because it represents if you're Gibby, Jake's traveling back in time to prevent these deaths from even
We're
happening.
turning them gold, you say?
Yeah. Or alternatively, giving all these souls their happiest day and
Much
setting them
like
free.
in philosophy, much like in alchemy.
Yeah. So yeah, it is I think like the Philosopher's Stone in FNAF is both like happiest day and moving on, but it is
Mm-hmm.
also like a perfect reconstruction of someone who has died. But I think it might be that like that's what like people think the like culmination of this process is, that you get to
Yeah.
come back from life fully, and like that's what F10 thinks will happen when she puts
Mm-hmm.
David together, and that's what William thinks will happen when his plans come to fruition. But the like actual final step is dissolving back into the field, because also that's what I
Because
think
it does seem like William isn't entirely like satisfied just being Springtrap. Like that's not good enough for him.
well, no, I
Especially
mean, I think it's part of like he
you can't be
can't be part of
satisfied.
society.
Mm. Well, I mean, I guess I say that because like, like in the novels, right? He gets spring locked, and then he just
Oh
leaves
yeah,
the
I mean that's the other
Springtrap
thing, like
suit.
loss of identity. That when he's in Springtrap, like the idea of being Springtrap, like imputes his ability to think.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he takes it off, he's like, "Oh, I'm finally mad scientist William Afton again." Ha ha ha.
And I guess we never get to see like the full extent of like what he is planning, what does he say, his immortal body or whatever he's trying to create. We never actually see what that
Yeah,
that
well,
would
it
that
seems like in the
entails.
fourth closet, his goal is to make himself a cyborg body that he's like still in control of, which is why he's slowly replacing
Mm-hmm.
his parts with robot parts,
Well, yeah,
because he's
I
like, well, I can't just.
think
And
he
I think it is like
is.
complete control, because like he realized if he did everything at once, like by spring locking himself, he would lose his sense of self to the
Mm-hmm.
character. And then he also wants to be able to command animatronics with his
Yeah.
mind through the kids.
Well, it almost seems like he wants to become something similar to like the Charlie bots, even.
Well, yeah, I mean, Charlie bots are his main like motivation. Like that's the thing that he becomes like so
Mm-hmm.
fixated on.
And that's the thing. That's the thing that William has to work so hard to do these things because he's missing like the emotional component that is
I
always
think it's
required to create
exactly
these
that,
things.
and then also I think it's sacrifice,
Mm-hmm.
because Henry has to sacrifice his brain to make the Charlie bots. And I think we don't like necessarily know if Edwin had to do the same thing, but like he definitely poured himself
Yes.
into the mimics, like emotionally and
Yeah.
energy wise. And I think that's like kind of the rule of the magic of like you can't do this for yourself. You can only do it for someone
The
else.
grief of like both in like the case of like the Charlie bots and the mimic, they both like grief is part
Yeah.
of what brought them to life, right? Like Edwin
Yeah. And, like,
has no idea how the mimic works. It was more or less brought together by brought to life by magic.
yeah, and like the field, and even in Tales, it's like his anxiety about not being able to like care for his son that
Mm-hmm.
and like that brings it to life. And I also like people will say that like Tulpa Jake is like the product of love, but I think there is very much a big deal of like pre-grieving Jake by
Yes.
making that. And also, first line of the real Jake, Jake has not remembered the last time he felt comfy.
Yeah.
Jake was radiating agony the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason why like the Jake and the Stitch Wraith is like so well put together is we like from Elizabeth's description of Fourth Closet that like each Charlie Bot's mode is like defined by
Yeah.
Henry's primary mood, is that even though Margie was like pre-grieving Jake and like also grieving the childhood he had already lost, there was like enough hope there
Yeah.
that the Stitch Wraith Jake is like happy and
Well,
shit.
yeah, I think what it is, right, is they put all of these like fake happy memories into Simon. So once Jake, possesses the Simon doll, he becomes happy again.
Well, no, I don't think Jake possesses the Simon doll. I think it's a tulpa.
A tulpa.
I I think that I guess the people are always gonna be I'm gonna ask for like I think I need more evidence of like stuff happening at range. That's
Mm-hmm.
not like projection at range we have proven. Like you only need to be in the general area to project yourself. But like possess like they gotta put the people inside the
I mean,
suit to get the possession.
maybe possession isn't the right. I mean, Charlie.
What about her?
Puppet was just like next to her.
Yeah, well that's still touching. Like that's closer than like the
Mm.
10 feet across Jake's room, which I think like it has like a lot of Jake's agony, which is like another thing that makes Stitch Wraith Jake different from Charlie Bot and F10, which is that like the thought patterns that it's based on come from the actual person instead of another person.
Mm-hmm.
But I think like it's not Jake's like remnant or soul.
I
I
mean,
think it's
it's the impression of his soul.
yeah. But again, like this is like I think the answer to a lot of these questions, like is X really who they present themselves as? I think a lot of it comes down not even just to us disagreeing on what the actual mechanics we think are happening,
Mm-hmm.
but also it like comes down to a philosophical question.
Yes. Well, no, I think a lot of the possessions, quote unquote, we see in the series aren't even like they're not none of the spirits in FNAF are ghosts in the traditional sense, really. Um like this singular entity that's like haunting a specific location or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. And like people will use that to say like, oh, there's no ghosts in FNAF when like that like not having like a singularness of soul is like just like what the rules are. Like the whole idea of the stone tape theory was providing an
Mm-hmm.
alternate explanation for why ghosts allegedly existed that didn't have like big theological implications and violate the Protestant doctrine of everyone either goes to heaven or hell immediately.
Actually, I'm gonna grab my copy of the Silver Eyes real quick because there are a few
Oh
things.
yes, your stone tape theory quotes.
My quotes. I got them marked. Let's
Yeah,
see.
well, you get. I'm just gonna say, like, I like read like I've gotten to like reading other horror novels and like the idea of like the supernatural entity that like you'd call a ghost, and they're like, oh, ghosts are more like the echoes of the memories of a person. Like that just keeps coming up. It's a trope.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Charlie says, yeah. So they're talking about like whether or not they believe in ghosts, and Charlie says, "I do." And then she says, I mean, not ghosts, but memories. I think they linger, whether there's someone there or not. And
Yeah,
then,
and also, like, people who try to say that, like, Scots, like, religious beliefs means, like, they have to be ghosts and not this, like, weird,
mm-hmm,
like, spiritualist thing is, like I mentioned earlier, Protestants aren't supposed to believe in ghosts, but, like, there are some branches that do, and also, like, who knows how theologically literate Scott is? He might not know that it's against doctrine, and then also, like, is he, like, writing a? Because you can write a world that has, like, fundamentally different rules than you think the
yeah.
real world has,
Yeah, I
but,
don't know. Does
like
Scott actually believe in ghosts? I don't know.
well, no, I think more like believing in the existence of the immortal soul,
Mm,
and, like, it very well if, like, he is, like, bringing over rules from how he thinks real life works, but also, like, his most likely branch of Protestantism, just by statistics, of that, like, there are no ghosts, is that there are, like, immortal souls that go to heaven in FNAF, but we never
mm-hmm.
see any of them
We
except
never
for
see that
William,
yet.
because the God's not so weak that, like, getting stuffed inside a suit is gonna stop you from going to heaven. So that, like, they all go to heaven, but um
Yeah.
they leave behind, like, imprints of their mind, which creates these, like, sentient beings who aren't
Mm-hmm.
ensouled, and, like, that's a the idea of sentient beings who aren't ensouled is a common thing in post-Christian
It is
folklore.
what's left of the like person who lived in the material world, right?
Yeah,
Like their soul has
yeah.
left, but the person who existed in like, on Earth, whatever is left of them after their soul is gone is still like lingering.
Yeah, exactly like Kingdom Hearts.
And then
This is
this
literally
is
how the no
also interesting. Yeah, on the next page, I think it's the next page.
this is
Um
how the nobodies work in Kingdom Hearts. When your heart when your heart gets taken. Because also confusingly, heart is basically soul, but there is also a word that is translated as soul,
mhm.
but it's like actually a word that like better means like life force. But when your heart is taken, but your body doesn't die, a new person with most of your memories will be generated.
Mhm.
But because they don't have a heart, they will still, like, act in quite different way, not, like, exactly different, but they supposedly can only feel the memory of emotions and apply that to similar circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. And yeah, so yeah, on the next page after that last quote I read, right? It says Marla says, yeah, maybe we're all shedding our fear and regret and hope everywhere we go, and we're catching traces of people we've never met. Maybe it's everywhere.
Yeah, and that's exactly Stone Tape theory that, like, you don't need to die, and it is also what, Lynn McTaggart says happens with, like, the biophotons, so, like, light that our body gives off.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't actually give off, and, like, that's how our consciousness works, not through, like, neurons, and, like, I will remind you that in AR, Remnant is depicted as glowing balls of light, and also Lynn McTaggart's thing is that people who are experiencing stress on either a psychological or physical level give off more light, which would like tie
Mm-hmm.
into the idea of agony being like more like gooey, like more
The
sticky or
goop.
more um like easily imparted emotion, which I like kind of think is the situation because also like dark
Yeah.
remnant in
Yeah.
AR is like all goopy, and I think it's like, oh, it's just the sticky form of like emotional
Yeah.
energy. And like
Agony's
Gibby's
like
working
tar almost.
yeah, Gibby's working on an agony video, and I guess we're the like FNAF metaphysicists or like the FNAF theologians. We were like, oh, we need a term for like emotional energy that isn't
Mm-hmm.
tied to a specific emotion, and we came up with the term flux.
Lux.
Yeah.
Interesting. I was thinking
And then,
of
like,
I had the idea to use imprint.
well, we're thinking it more of like a substance.
A
Like an
substance, yes,
imprint
yes.
is not a substance, an imprint is made up of something
I
else.
mean mostly like just like the emotional, the
Yeah, well,
imprint.
I think we needed like a term so we could talk about it the same way we talk about like agony and
Mm-hmm.
remnant.
I guess I haven't I haven't read all of the novels yet. I'm still making my way through the Silver Eyes. I don't know if do they actually ever say that Remnant is always like liquid metal?
That's how it's described, and so we're kind of thinking more that like remnant is like fixed flux. And then there's also elements of like quintessence theory of Maury's thing of like quintessence being flux
Mm-hmm.
plus soul. And so like the thought is like maybe, oh, if they die and get stuffed in a suit, then it leaves both their flux and their soul.
Mm-hmm.
And like that, so what we traditionally call remnant is like very powerful because it's got both ingredients. And but that's possibly that people in universe don't necessarily have the same definition of remnant because um the way Dr. Talbot describes remnant to Larson doesn't make it sound like anyone needs to die for it to be
Yeah.
produced. And some people have like interpreted that the remnant pendant is made out of Renel's remnant, even though she's like still alive, and so that would be just flux fixed in metal,
Mm-hmm. Well,
which
I
would
mean,
also be
and
the
it could
remnant.
be that, the molten metal is that's just like the remnant that William has interacted with is in that form.
No,
Um,
no, because okay, so like people seem to know about remnant because Larson is able to look it up, and
mm,
it comes with a definition of people aren't sure if this exists, but it's like molten liquid mercury, and Talbot is for
interesting.
some reason on like the police consultant list for remnant, which is how Larson gets his address. And like that's like, oh my, what? Because like, okay, something being police consults does not necessarily mean that it is accepted science by everyone, but that
Mm-hmm.
does mean it's not like a secret science. Like
Yeah.
in universe, remnant will have a Wikipedia
Well, yeah,
page.
it's like how, yeah, in Fetch, he was being taught about the field in science class.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, like, does this mean that it's a known belief, or was that guy just a crank?
Do people just like know ghosts are around?
I mean, so, that's, like, what I wrote in my fanfic, like, when Mike is explaining what remnant is, Nate's like, "Oh, yeah, I've heard of it," and then I have him reference, like, other pseudoscientific concepts from our world, like the idea of ghosts being, higher dimensional beings or, orgone energy, just because the orgone energy is really funny.
No, I think this is probably the most like telling line in here, right? So yeah. So she says, yeah, maybe it's everywhere, blah blah blah. Then Lamar asks, yeah, how is that different from believing ghosts? And she says, it's not supernatural and it's not like the souls of dead people. It's just people leaving their mark on the world. Like it explicitly says it's not the souls of dead
Yeah,
people.
but the interesting thing is that narratively,
It's narratively
Michael Bro
this is like speculation.
yeah, that's the thing. One, they don't have, like, special knowledge in universe. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking of, Drawing Blood, like, a book I read recently, where only after the climax are the characters, like, speculating, "Oh, ghosts are kinda like computer programs. They just repeat everything over and over again." And then, like, they use that information to, like, win. And, like, that's like, oh, even though they didn't do research, even though they only found out ghosts existed yesterday, like that's clearly the narrative signaling this is the correct idea
Yeah.
of like rules of this universe. But like what does Marla know in universe? And also like Michael Brooks is treated as an actual person.
Yeah.
Like, and like the very interesting thing is that Elizabeth, and like this is something I overlooked when I did my original, like, oh, Agony and Remnant are the same thing idea, which now I'm not so sure about, of like the taxonomy of all that,
Yeah.
is that Elizabeth specifically says, I, fourth Charlie Bot, after eating Elizabeth Afton, have a soul. I consider myself to be Elizabeth, but I have some of Henry's memories because the adult brain that I'm using to have these thoughts was a construct generated by Henry being really angry, and that also makes me really angry. I have a soul. You, Charlotte Emily, who has never put a dead person inside of her, does not have a soul. You are only a construct of Henry's consciousness. And so I'm thinking that might actually be how FNAF works, which is that if there is no dead body, you just get the flux. And if you combine that with AI, you can make people who do
Yeah.
not have souls. But if you have a dead body stuffed in there, you get like soul stuff, and you can actually what we see in the fourth closet is that by taking the remnant from, and now we call the character Molten Freddy, but it's actually the like combined endoskeletons of the classics, and it
Yeah.
exists at the same time as the fun times. But in Trilogy Molten Freddy, they're taking the remnant out of it and putting it in the fun times. And what happens is when Carlton gets injected with that remnant and goes into like a mind space, is he sees like all of the kids are like multiplied multiple times, and they have limited cognitive capabilities. And then he puts them back together by making the pictures. He's able to put them back together, and they stop existing as multiple beings.
Yeah.
And I think it's not soul splitting in the sense, well, actually, it is kind of in that, like, if you mix together remnant that contains souls and then you portion it out and you like divide it across, that like it limits their cognitive
Yes.
capabilities,
Well,
and like the AI
we
becomes more
and
prominent.
we've talked about this, right? It's not soul splitting, it's soul like spreading. It's like thinned
Yeah,
out.
soul spreading. Or again, this does kind of happen in Kingdom Hearts, where they take Sora's memories and they split them between Roxas and Shion. And whichever one of them has, and but it's not like a binary process. It's not like they split them in half. They're like connected, and like the memories are flowing back and forth between them. And whichever one has more of them is like more powerful at the time, while the other one is like passing out. And like Sora can't wake up until all of his memories are back in place. And so like they have to consume Shion and Roxas. Um so I think it might be that when you stuff the body, when you guts theory, the spirit follows.
When you guts the theory, yes.
When you guts the theory, you get both flux and soul, and you can fix that into remnant. And then that is like uber powerful remnant. And if you mix
The Uber
remnant,
remnant.
hello, that's a heartless.
Yeah, there he is. The little guy. Little
Yeah, the little guy, yeah.
little remnant creature.
Yeah, kinda. Because confusingly, heartlesses are hearts without bodies, and nobodies are bodies without hearts. Um, so you have like this uber powerful remnant, which then if you like mix together remnant from multiple people, and then also you divide that remnant out, like any sort of individual identity is gone, and then the
Mm-hmm.
AI is able to like take over, because it also ties into the idea of like every every possessed being is in a constant battle between like their character identity and their human identity.
Yes.
And because the fun times like have their remnant all mixed together and portioned out like that, and it has like such strong AI, they're able to be very intelligent, because like when you don't have enough processing power, you can substitute
Mm-hmm.
this psychic stuff.
I mean, I think that's
They
also a part of why they're so unstable.
Yeah, I mean that too, but, like, they have, like, personalities, and even when they're, like, having basic human yearning for freedom, they still act in accordance to those personalities. But
Mm-hmm.
then Elizabeth is different, because it's just been Elizabeth, um,
It's just
and it's not.
Elizabeth. Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, the soul is not spread over the fun times and the classics, and, like, the classics, on one hand, do not have strong AI, but they don't have particularly strong possession either.
Mm-hmm.
But like even Golden Freddy has not had its like parts taken to put into the fun times, presumably. And so that would be one reason why it might be
Uh,
more powerful.
mm-hmm. Yeah, he's Yendo.
Yeah, but Yendo is a projection.
Yendo is a projection.
Yendo's a projection. He's just like looking at like what his other pals are up to.
Kelsey.
Uh,
Kelsey is a projection.
yeah. So yeah, like there's soul everywhere, like a body has been put in contact with machinery, that would be souls.
Mm-hmm.
And everywhere where that hasn't happened. So like the like
The
pseudo remnant.
the remnant in MCM.
Yeah, the MCM remnant is just Flex. And
Lex.
then the remnant inside the remnant pendant, if Gibby is correct that it's Renell's remnant, that is stronger than the MCM remnant, because it was like from a like single direct exposure from one person, and
Mm-hmm.
presumably that like remnant was gathered while she was experiencing the like very strong emotions of being a sick child. Like that's stronger, but it's not as strong as William's remnant, which involves people dying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I guess that would also explain the color change if remnant flex involves them like killing people.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
there are all those missing kids.
It's kind of the opposite of Monsters Inc., where actually the more fucked up way is the
I
more effective way.
mean, I suppose like so the idea is that the remnant in MCM is powered by joy, isn't it?
So we discussed this. I think it's less joy and it's more like basically if you look, because of the whole like quantum mysticism, like observer
Mm-hmm.
effect and like manifesting, is that if you look at something and part of you thinks it's alive,
Yeah.
that like imparts some like very weak life
Mm-hmm.
energy on.
And there's a lot of stuff about that in the Silver Eyes specifically, which I'm gonna keep
Yeah,
bringing
like
up just because that's the one I'm reading right now.
yeah, like it's made a point that like part of what brought the Charlie bots alive is also just Henry like creating a positive feedback loop. Also possibly putting illusion discs inside his walls. When I was rereading the part of the fourth closet, when he when Charlie is like reliving Henry's memories, Henry's oh no, it's his suicide note to Aunt Jen. He's like, even I'm pretty sure I took all the stuff out of the walls that were making me crazy, but I'm not sure. Um, yeah, I think that again, it's the whole manifesting of like, if if you go to a boardwalk and you see an animatronic, there's gonna be a little
yeah.
part of you that's like, oh, that's a living being.
Mhm.
And so that, because also I think that makes more sense than like emotions, because just like people are not gonna have like much direct emotional connection
And
with
I
the
mean,
MCM
thinking
stuff.
about it, I can't think of like just a fully inanimate object that's not even like anthropomorphic in any way. Like, we have no example of an object like that being possessed in any way.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole, like, remnant bullets thing that keeps coming up. Well, we have the things with agony in them. Continuous
Yes.
says has agony in them.
Agony.
But his whole thing is that it can't do anything if
Yeah.
there's no, like, AI, and I think it's
But
like, yeah, I think it's
it
also,
seems like
like,
Flux at least can just sort of just go wherever.
yeah, Flex globs on everything, agony sticks the hardest. And so, yeah, like, they would be imparting flux onto the Murray Coast stuff, and, like, part of it is, like, the emotions of, like, the joy, but I think
Mm-hmm.
a big part of it is just the perceiving them as alive.
So the idea would be like putting the Flux like in combination with like an AI would it almost create like an artificial soul.
Yeah, or, like, again, it would basically create a nobody.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, nobody's still I think also, like, Charlie has, like, a definite, like, emotional deadness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she doesn't seem to really have, like she seems to have less emotional reactions to things than she should, and, like, Elizabeth talks about not really being able to understand, everything, like, that led to Circus Baby's the 4th Charlie Bot's creation until after she kills Elizabeth. So I think it's like it's a nobody. I'll just send
Mm-hmm.
you a picture to represent the nobodies of
F
that.
F10 and 4 is a nobody. You heard it here
Yeah.
first, folks.
The only difference is that the nobodies are generated from the people they're based on, while
Mm-hmm.
you can in FNAF you can generate a nobody of someone
Yeah,
else.
you could create. I mean, you could create a mimic that's you can just make up a personality. It doesn't even need to be a mimicking a real person.
Well, I mean, hey, that is basically what Billy does. He has he very clearly has dissociative identity disorder,
Billy.
and like in a world where tulpas are real,
Wait,
there's
wait,
basically
which
no
story is this?
B7 and
Yes,
B7 too.
B7.
Um, here's all the nobodies. Um, is that in B7 too? Sorry, in B7, Billy very clearly has dissociative identity disorder, and in a world where tulpas objectively exist, there's not much difference between a tulpa and a DID alter. And so he basically, like how dissociative identity works in the real world, when people have non-human alters, they exist for like a metaphorical reason for like the
Mm-hmm.
psychological distress that caused them to, like, have dissociative identity disorder in the first. Oh my god, that image is massive, I'm
It's
so
so
sorry.
big. It's you sent me the highest resolution image on the planet Earth.
I'm sorry. Um, is this is instead of a pretty women board, we have an alchemy board.
Here, squash them down a little. Put them up at the top. There,
Yeah.
there
So
they are.
um, yep, there's all the guys. There's all 13 of
I
them.
wasn't expecting them to just be guys, just be dudes.
They're just guys, yeah. The cloaks aren't even because they're nobodies. That's protecting them from the corridors of darkness. Like that's like PPE.
That's just their
But I
fit.
mean, they're formed from the bodies of people who lost their hearts. Like the body is the original.
Mm-hmm.
Um, don't ask me how Ventus, if a Kingdom Hearts fan is watching this, don't ask me how Ventus fits into this. I've not gotten to that point yet. Um, so where was I? Oh yeah. Um, no, actually, I've completely lost my train of thought. Give me
I
one.
honestly don't remember. Something about
Oh,
Remnant.
B7. Yes,
B7, yes.
B7. So Billy is basically Billy almost dies from being getting sick,
Mm-hmm.
and like that would be something that would produce a lot of agony and a lot of like grief, and also he's 2.
Like
And he's
Jake.
very stressed about dying again when he's watching a Fazbear and Friends cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason he generates like an animatronic alter is just like how it works in the real world of like it's a metaphor for like, oh, an animatronic would not be able to get sick.
Yeah.
And so like,
Animatronics
yeah,
live forever. They're immortal.
yeah, so he generates the B7 alter, which, and then this is the inaccurate part, that it's just one alter fronting for like over 10 years. But yeah, that's someone making a tulpa out of nothing,
Yeah.
not like directly based on any real person except maybe himself. And the quote AI here would be Billy's brain.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is Billy almost dies in a trash compactor. And when they extract all of the
This is like
um
Jake.
yeah, when they extract all of the cybernetic parts from him and like some of his body, uh B7 goes with it.
Billy was a
And
cyborg.
yeah, um he like gets voluntary amputations, which is
Mm.
the part of the story that makes me go, is this able?
I mean, this sounds a little bit like William cutting off parts of himself, replacing
People
them with
keep
robot
saying this, but
parts.
I think it's the other way around because he's having robot dysphoria
He wants to be
of
robot.
no, like B7 is like an animatronic on the inside
Oh
and
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
can't cope with being in a human body because it's not receiving the psychological support it needs as a non-human DID alter.
Well,
Um,
William spiritually, he wants to be an animatronic.
he's an animatronic. He's a
He's an
fairy, but for
animatronic at heart.
yeah. Um, but like, well, because also like until Billy's mom dies, B7 does not really have animatronic dysphoria. It believes its body to be an animatronic's body,
Mm-hmm.
but only when it becomes like more isolated and like not receiving the like social perceived like social appreciation of thinking other people see it as an animatronic. Only then does it develop animatronic dysphoria. I find the story very compelling, but I'm also like, is this ableist? I didn't even think it would be. I did not. I understand why people thought it was anti-trans. I don't think that. I'm like, is this anti-Therian? Is this like depicting Therians as like dangerous, crazy people?
I don't think Scott
Uh,
Cawthon knows what a Therian is.
yeah, no. Andrea Wagner was like, "Oh no, he just pitched this to me as reverse Pinocchio."
Yeah.
Um,
And that is interesting. I have not read any of the Tales books yet. You know this. I just bought the entire Tales from the Pizza
yeah.
Pikes box set. Then I need to
I
start
personally
reading.
prefer Tales to Frights. I think Scott gets more like out there with the
Yeah.
stories, and it's ultimately more refreshing to get
Well,
through
the
them that
Pizzaplex is
way.
definitely like an environment where you can just go
Yeah,
all
and they're
out.
also like the stories are more tied together, which was like something I was expecting when I did Frights, because like in
Yeah.
1632 they have like a quarterly literary magazine, and like all those short stories are like so interconnected. And then like I'd read 13 stories by Jonathan Sims, which is the whole premise of that is it's a horror anthology all taking place within one building, and also
Mm-hmm.
it's about agony. um and then so yeah, when I started Frights, I was expecting like
Yeah.
the diner that the Room for One More guy goes to also be the diner Dahlia worked at, and like connections like that. Oh, and then also like the Magnus archives, where like a lot of the story is told from like a lot of the like
Mm-hmm.
supporting characters in the Magnus archives are characters who appear in multiple like anthology stories. And you get way more of that with tales where a lot of stories take place in the same circular pizzaplex, and you can put things together and like understand more about those stories than the characters do in a way that is a lot more intentional than
Mm.
oops, it was Eleanor the whole time.
Well, I mean, it definitely seems like Scott's greatest strength is coming up with very interesting ideas. Putting all those ideas together into one cohesive story, you know, it
Yeah.
remains to be
But
seen. But
like
he has good ideas, very interesting
yeah, like
ideas.
Nexi, at the beginning of Nexi, the protagonist is like, "Oh yeah, and I walked by someone in a bubble that was filled with smoke." And you're like, "Oh, that's Tiger Rock from the outside."
Hmm.
And like a lot of the stuff that goes wrong in the circular pizzaplex is chalked up to the storyteller going wrong after Mr. Burroughs dies in it. Like, it's a lot more intentionality, and then even just like the stuff that's weirder. I think
Yeah.
it's Scott going a lot more like Twilight Zone, and I think he does really good at it. Like, I'm sure a lot of people don't like Under Construction. That's the one where everyone gets cancer in the VR world. But I like it. I found it one, it's very easy to figure out that's what's happening, so you're not like so then you can just sit back and, like, appreciate the emotions instead of wondering about the logistics of everyone getting cancer and babies not being born anymore. And then, like but on, like, the level of the character's perspective, you're like, "Oh, this is, like, a very, like, compelling sci-fi horror anthology,
Yeah.
like The Twilight Zone."
I mean, yeah, I think
Um,
Scott was really science fiction is where he really shines, I think.
yes. Yes, and, like, even Animatronic Apocalypse, I think, should have been like, if it was its own, like, middle grade series, I think even keeping the FNAF like, if Scott really wanna get weird, of, like, making it very clear that this is a world where FNAF is a work of fiction.
Yeah.
Because also that's so something that, like, really only Homestuck does that I really like is having characters be fans of real pieces of media.
Mhm.
It makes them feel a lot more real, of, like, the FNAF club at school gets turned into a cult,
Hmm.
and something completely unrelated to FNAF because FNAF is a piece of media within this universe happens, but, like, the animatronic apocalypse does not have enough of a, like, resolution to justify its zaniness.
Yeah. I mean, it is an interesting idea. But
Yeah, I just
it's all, you know,
just
execution is everything at the end of the day.
yeah, and I think also these, like, novellas are a very awkward length to be because most of, like, the literary horror I've been reading has been, like, short stories where they'll
Mhm.
just throw the most insane shit at the wall, and they don't explain it, and that's part of the point. Or, like, full-length novels
I
that
have
have a whole
yeah.
mystery explanation, and then either everyone dies or they win or
Like
something.
I have noticed in some of these like fright stories, they do kind of drag a little where it feels like it's kind of just the same thing happening over and
Yeah,
over
and I
again
think,
until the
like,
conclusion.
the stories that don't explain themselves, the short stories, most fright stories are, like, too long to pull that off, but
Mhm.
then, like, you really see with Animatronic Apocalypse that that one needs more room because it couldn't
Yeah.
do a proper
Yeah, when are we
resolution.
getting the
Because that's
full-length animatronic apocalypse novel, Scott? What the heck?
yeah, yeah, and, like, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just a very, like, hard but also, like, horror is a very hard genre to write, technically, it's why I've
Yeah.
never tried it. My FNAF fanfics I consider to be I didn't say fanfics, plural, singular. I was not going for writing horror, I was going for writing tragedy 'cause I know how to do that one.
And it is difficult to strike the balance because there is like this thing I you know, I haven't read like a ton of horror like literature in my life other than like Goosebumps and Fazbear Frights, but
Well, I mean, actually, you having read Goosebumps gives you a good frame of reference because
yes.
that's what it was
Yes.
going for, where, like, I've only read the Star Wars Goosebumps.
But the thing about Goosebumps, right, is a lot of the stories will end, right? There'll be like a resolution, right, where you know everything is solved, the day is saved. But then there's something at the end that makes you think, "Oh no, things aren't actually all good. You know, the horror continues after the
Oh yeah, like
story.
that's called a snap ending. And I
Mm-hmm.
think something that, and like this is like the strength of horror anthologies, of that, like you can give the reader enough information that it's very easy for them to figure out what's going on, and it's not like there's going to come to a bunch of different answers.
Mm-hmm.
But and then the main character still has no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
Um,
I
like that's what
guess.
like most Magnus Archive statements are, of like, now that we've gotten the reveal of like what the horror is, the characters still don't know, but you can be like, ah, yes, I see, it was this thing, and I understand the rules, and like, oh, the reason why when they thought they were about to get out, things suddenly took a turn for the worse is because like it's all powered off of fear.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess it
yeah.
is. I feel like it could be hard to like strike a balance between doing like the snap ending and giving like an actual like satisfying conclusion to the
Yeah,
story.
because also, like, a lot of the snap endings kind of ruin the entire, like, are very much like, oh, these are standalone stories that don't exist in a wider universe with implications. Like, that's what a lot of Twilight Zone episodes did, because, like, story's over, go home, it's not relevant anymore.
Yeah.
Where stuff like the snap ending to Lonely Freddy, of it not being a one-off, leaves you with all these questions about, um are they mass producing Lonely Freddy's or something?
How many kids
And
have? What are they doing with these possessed Freddys?
yeah, where on the other hand, like, or like the snap ending for Bunny Call, is you could just be like, oh, so this was a story with no supernatural. That's fair. And like maybe it does take place
Hmm.
in Stitchline, but nobody gives a shit because it's like 2 states away. But then they do the thing of, oh, the guy who was supposed to play Ralph wasn't really here.
Whoa.
I do also like think that's quite cheap.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of funny. They're like the two types of endings at Fazbear Frights are you get like the snap ending or the main character just kills himself. Like those are the two endings you're gonna see.
Yeah, and like I think also like the most famous like Twilight Zone snap endings are ones where like it recontextualizes everything with like themes and shit,
Hmm.
which like the FNAF snap ending, like the one I'm thinking of like the woman who's like getting plastic surgery because she's
Yeah.
like so ugly society can't stand her, and it turns out everyone in the society has a pig nose.
Everyone's ugly. They're all pigs.
Like that's like, oh, the story was supposed to make us think about how beauty standards are socially constructed.
Ah.
What is Ralpho being supernatural tell me about? What are you trying to say? Or like the famous one where the like um
It's not a twist
the
for something in the supernatural horror series to be supernatural.
well, no, it leaves more questions because like in like the Magnus archives, the supernatural can be anything because it's all based on
Yeah.
just like feeding off of fear. Like they did their own take on mascot horror, and it was the suit. The suit was evil. It's kind of like, what if the yellow rabbit suit walked off and became Springtrap on its
Oh,
own?
I'm pretty sure
And
that's
like,
what Blackfoot Ferret believes. I'm not even kidding.
but like that, you don't ask the logistical questions like, oh, what remnant is like powering the suit to walk on its own? You're like, oh yeah, fear energy. Everything's based
Hmm.
on fear energy. The entities can do whatever they want. Where like FNAF is one with a much more like circumscribed list of magical
I mean,
powers.
agony is the one thing where it's like it can kind of just manifest as whatever it seems sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know, but like you can only like see it. I don't know. It's like
No,
they're
agony
not like,
agony will show up as like a shadow creature or just a recreation of the 80s.
yeah, but like those are all like illusions and
Yeah,
like
the
memory
projections.
palaces. They're projections. Yeah, the projections and brigadoons.
Like Kelsey.
Yeah, it is so funny that like we're so starved of the actual vocabulary that any normal series would give us. We're having to make our own like flux projections. Brigadoons.
Just literally just naming a different piece of media.
But also, like, the idea of a Brigadoon is not exactly the way Brigadoon works in the movie of, like, oh, it's a place that that, like, time passes more slowly. It's like, what if a Freddy's was suspended in time and also could teleport?
And also there was a twink came out of it.
Yeah. What if it generated a gay tween?
What if a beautiful androgynous blonde-haired boy showed up at your school and then you learned he was Golden Freddy? What if?
What if? And I also like so much of the story is like so like the whole thing of like, oh, there was only ever one spirit in Golden Freddy. It's just that Kelsey is in the new kid. It's just Kelsey is forced to look like Golden Freddy. Like,
Yeah.
I only just like the story's been out for years. People should have figured that out. It's like, but also like, you guys aren't like. I mean, not even like Gibby figured it out because also like he's not focusing on like, oh, here are the like breadcrumbs to solving the lore of this specific story.
Yeah. Also because Gibby is a fool. No.
Gibby is a fool who believes time travel without enough
Foolish man. He
textual evidence.
believes Will can. He pretends to believe Will care.
Yeah, he pretends to believe Will care when he actually believes Will grief.
Only like half as chopped. Alright. What else should we talk about?
I don't know. There's nobody. People have just not said much in chat.
Yeah. I mean,
only one person is
hey
watching.
chat, you got anything for us to talk about? There are 13 people
Oh,
watching.
here's our beautiful Bai Shonen.
There he is. Mr. Projection himself.
Mr. Projection himself.
I mean, I guess along those same lines, we could just talk about Agony some more. I mean, what the hell is Eleanor? That's my question.
I don't know.
Nobody knows.
Like, for Charlie, they did the Charlie bot in the games, but that didn't work thing. But like, that is so based on like that whole. Most of those videos are just like I wrote fanfic of forcing Stitchline into the games, and now William isn't even the man in room 1280 anymore. And also it just does not feel as right now that we have Secret of the Mimic, because like then it would be like, oh, Henry was inspired by David, and then William was inspired by the Mimic and the failed Charlie bots. Like what? I've been considering like taking that out of my personal, entirely self-indulgent timeline for that reason, but I don't know. I mean, I think the agony tendrils are mostly made out of blood.
Yeah, they taste like copper.
Yes, which is like the tasting. I think it's mostly made out of blood, and I think it's part of the. I think it's part of the whole like guts theory of it all, of like blood combining with metal and like hemoglobin and stuff.
It'd be interesting. Almost like the remnant is stored in the metal in the animatronic, but the agony is in the body.
Well, that doesn't make sense because like you're gooping your agony on like everything.
Yeah, you're staining everything.
Yeah, I think it's more just like the flux and the soul will bind to the same stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I can explain a lot about Eleanor. I mean, I don't know. I never even noticed that Renelle is Eleanor backwards until Gibby pointed it out, which just raises so many questions. Because also, like, presumably, like, it would be Eleanor who would have, like, the fake name, and so it would be the backwards name, but Renelle is, like, such a weird name. It's almost my last name, which is why I never noticed that it was Eleanor backwards.
Is Renelle protagonist from To Be Beautiful?
No, that's
No.
Renelle is Talbot's daughter, and
Mm.
then the remnant pendant came from Talbot's daughter after she ran away.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I have not finished the Stitch line yet.
yeah, so, like, I don't know, I have a pretty good idea, like, how Eleanor works, that, like, she's binding people's souls to the ball,
To the
to
balls.
the balls to generate more agony. Um, I can't tell you where she comes from or why she looks like Circus Baby.
Nobody knows.
And, like, it could be anything. She could be some sort of, like, ancient deity
Yeah.
or, like,
Shit's old man consequences. No.
generated by, in another Jonathan Sims book, the antagonist is basically an agony being generated by World War One.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that could be Eleanor, and, like, for some reason, Baby is modeled after that, or I don't know. It's not really sure. Like, there are definitely some fight stories that, like, you've had to scrape the bottom of the barrel for ideas, especially towards the end when, like, he'd already, like, written Eleanor back into being the main protagonist. And so he should have just written an Eleanor backstory story. Like, that's essential reading.
Yeah, Scott, if we could just get like just a full novel of like Taggart sort of just like explaining this stuff, that'd be pretty sick.
That would be sick because
Literally
I just wanna hear, like,
like a scientific like his like journal or
yeah,
something.
and also just, like, wait, isn't that what the Talbot files were?
I guess.
Of also just, like, scientists talking about, like, how the because, like, they unlike us, they can perform empirical experiments. Like, in one of the, like, Locked Tomb short stories, like, one of the characters, like, "Is the soul indivisible? Is the soul permeable? Is the soul unchanged?" Like, asking a bunch of questions about
Hmm.
how souls work in this universe. And after you read that story, you're like, "Ah, I know exactly how souls work in this universe. Thank you."
Yeah, I mean
Because
it's
like,
like
he
it's a universe where it seems to be like scientists know about this stuff.
yeah,
It's
like,
measurable.
people yeah, and, like, people, like, the disagreement that the 2 characters in the Locked Tomb story have, it is resolved by the events of that story, which one of them is correct. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and also, like, I didn't even I kind of assumed I thought he was, like, getting the remnant independent from, like, dead people's pacemakers. Um, and he, that it's not Rennell's, but that it was, like, to help Rennell if, like, regular medicine couldn't help her. But, like, now I'm not so sure because like, that's not what Gibby thinks, and also, like, yeah, if it is other people's remnant, how would it help Talbot remember his daughter?
Hmm.
Uh, so,
It
like,
heals his memory. I don't know.
yeah, and then also, like, even if it's just Flux, oh, you should get the Magnus Protocol label because that one's alchemy
Oh,
stuff.
come on. Making me do stuff.
You're the one who made your who decided to make your own version of the Pretty Woman board.
I just don't want to edit.
Mm, mm, mm. Um, yeah, I don't know what I don't for some
What were
reason we
you
were not
saying?
given enough. I don't think anyone can make a good Eleanor theory. We simply just do not have enough information. The only way we might get more information is that like she has a game's counterpart, which I think is not rather unlikely.
Give us the Stitch line game.
I mean, it's kind of the whole thing with like all the blank spaces inside the mimic cycle entails. Like we're never gonna find out like what's the thing that happened that
Mm-hmm.
William was having the PTSD about, that Edwin was having the PTSD about, because like they don't, like the books like are alternate universes, but they're not they're like second fiddle. They're not gonna get their own like resolution.
Yeah.
And like the stitch line does not tell a complete story, and we have to like piece it together with guesses from what we think happened based on
Mm-hmm.
the game's continuity. Like, way more than just, like, oh, filling in some context. Like
Oh yeah.
like, if only we knew what like, Larson, like, gets some sort of big revelation, and we just don't know what that is.
That's funny. Just I had a revelation. I won't tell you what it was.
I won't tell you, the reader, inside my head what it is.
But I did have a revelation.
Yes.
And a part of me is like, was Scott just like leaving some threads open in case he got like more Fazbear Frights books ordered or something?
No, I don't think so. Maybe, I don't know. I think there's a part of Scott that just does not. We keep having these same conversations with Bam. What if the FNAF story was like, what if the story was actually there? Just like Scott not starting out with FNAF not to tell a story, and then kind of ending up with a fandom that is way more rabid for lore than his actual disposition is.
Yeah.
Like, he does not have the temperament of a horror writer. I've never
Uh,
he had to, like, take a break, of, like, to make FNAF World for his mental health, which, like, fair, but, like, I've never seen Jonathan Sims have to do that.
Scott just like showing us cool stuff, and then we're like, what does this mean?
But, I mean, we wouldn't be having so many goddamn conversations about it if it wasn't so vague,
Yeah.
so like, coming up with the metaphysics stuff with Gibby and Maury is kinda, like, the closest I think you can get to being, like, an occultist without going completely off your rocker. Like, you have a limited amount of, like, information, which is, like, what, like, the, like, pre-modern, like, people when they could not, like, scientifically prove things were working with, and then you just gotta come up with something. It's fun.
Okay,
That's why I like it when, like,
NMB.
all the answers we got from Secret of the Mimic
Mm-hmm.
came with more questions.
Yeah.
I just wish we could get those answers that give us more questions to stuff related to the main story that we've discussed to
And to
death.
be fair, we haven't gotten any new games since then. We don't know where Scott's gonna go from here.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that the next game is the, like, Fredbear's game that, like, ties up all the stuff in FNAF 4 that he,
Yeah.
like, had to change and then couldn't find a way to tell us well in sister location.
And there was
Like,
like Chica's secret party, and even in the second
mhm.
movie, it's almost he's. I mean, maybe he's trying to tease that he wants to open the box. I don't know.
Yeah, because yeah, that's, like, the other thing, like, if you wanna get rid of the box, like, from the narrative, you stop talking about the box,
Yeah.
but we have the movie version of the box,
Mm-hmm.
and we have the yeah, for all we know, yeah, maybe, like, Scott was like, "Okay, time to make the script for the Fredbear's DLC with Secret of the Mimic," and he finally found an answer for the box that worked, and
It's
he's like, "Well,
it's
damn, I
the
guess I am
mimic in
opening
the
the box."
box. It's Jackie.
Um
Jackie's box. Yeah, I
This is
mean,
such a
it
funny
is.
collage. We got, like, Goosebumps, we got Organization 13, we got The Field. After you're done, can you send that to me so I can send it to Gibby?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Okay.
is interesting to think about, like, and that's something Scott does. He like purposely leaves open threads in the
Yeah.
games, and of course we're all like, what does it mean? We need to find answers. And Scott's just like, I thought it was just kind of cool.
Yeah, and then also part of it is, like, the idea that we have to, like, solve the game when it's already out, and, like, I think part of it is you, like, do have to, like, put the pieces together to understand the story of, like, putting the, like, MCM tapes in order and, like, understanding, but
Mm-hmm.
then, like, also, like, if you look at a more normal fandom like Deltarune, they're all like, "Here's all of my Knights theories," and they're not like, "You can figure out who the Knight is objectively just by looking at the chapters that are already out."
Yeah,
It's like,
because
"No, we're
they know,
making
like,
predictions."
you know, Toby's might actually tell us who the knight is at some point.
Yeah, and they're like, "No, I'm making predictions. These are testable hypotheses that will be proven true or false."
Yeah, like
And
Scott's never
but
gonna
I
tell
think
us who the
also, like
vengeful spirit is.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I think, like, that kind of behavior from the fandom is not, like, didn't come out of nowhere. It's in reaction to having a storyteller we can't what just happened to the stream?
Oh, it
I
does
think our
that
bitrate
sometimes.
is
Don't worry about it.
okay,
Sometimes it'll just like
okay,
data mosh all over the place, just for fun.
okay. The pipes are too much.
The pure just like energy coming off of this collage.
Yeah.
It's too much for it to handle.
I love that the transparent images aren't pressed.
Yeah, I don't know how to make layers in this program. So it literally like it's I'm inserting
It
those on the
looks
same.
actually somehow managed to make the remnant transparent.
Yeah. Why I put in I used the fill tool behind it.
Oh my god.
Because they are transparent, but the transparency like just like clips over the background. I don't know. I don't know,
I don't think
man.
that's how being transparent works.
I have no idea. Right.
Anything else to talk about?
I mean, I've got enough material here to make into something, I
Yeah,
suppose.
yeah,
If
yeah.
we're ready to rev, you're ready to call it a day.
Yeah, I mean, unless you have, like, any alchemy topics you want me to info
Give me
dump on that you think
topics.
the FNAF public should know.
Suppose I mean we didn't really talk all that much about Sun and Moon.
Oh, yes. Okay, so, um, yeah, it's King Sun and Queen Moon, which you may notice is the reverse of how it is in Moon.exe, except if you look into the traits that are associated with the feminine and the masculine in alchemy, the masculine is associated with like order, and the feminine is associated with like inspiration,
Mm-hmm.
but also like unstability. And it was thought that like, oh, to be a good alchemist, you did need that like feminine side, but also because they were misogynist,
Yeah.
the masculine side needed to control the inspiration of the feminine side. But like that's exactly how MCM worked. That Edwin was just like coming up with ideas, and Fiona was the one who had to like keep him on track. And
Yeah.
so that's why they're the sun and the moon respectively. And then also like the thing about like human Fiona being the light of Edwin's life,
Mm-hmm.
and the ultimate expression of this idea will be in chroma key theory with Pregwin.
Whoa, Pregwin!
Pregwin! Yay!
Pregwin!
Go get the Pregwin image and put that in the collage.
Wait, let me find it.
Yeah, so like that, I just started off with like, oh, Edwin is the alchemical feminine, Fiona F10 is the alchemical masculine. And then I was talking about it with more and more, and we were like, wait a minute, Frankenstein, and also like Mother of Monsters stuff. And now Edwin is pregnant, and Edwin is Ballora.
Edwin is pregnant. Edwin is Ballora.
Yeah, Edwin is Ballora. Toy Chica is William Afton.
Toy Chica is William Afton.
Zendaya is Michi.
Zendaya is Michi.
Um, so like
Andrew's the vengeful
the and
spirit.
also the kind of the idea also of like other ways, like the so like sun and moon, they get married and they copulate,
If you
but they
will.
also like fuse together. Because also a big part of making the Philosopher's Stone was that you had to combine opposite elements, because it's all about like putting the world back together from before it was divided. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why you're combining the masculine and the feminine, which is then you get the rebus, which is a being that is both
Rebus.
that
Let's
is
hope a David.
the hermaphroditic rebus, um, because non-binary people are extremely powerful and magical,
Of
and the mimic is
course.
non-binary because the mimic is half. Wait, the mimic is half male on his mom's side and half female on his dad's side. Um, so yeah, it's all about like combining opposites, which like they talk about that in like Moon.exe, of like that's how you make Eclipse slash the like realized David mimic. Um, But then also another thing is that other times it would be represented as like the um the idea of like what you're actually doing is you're just combining two things and they turn into a new compound.
Mm-hmm.
Of also the so then it would sometimes be called the alchemical orphan because the mother and the father are
Hmm.
destroyed in the process. And then sometimes it would also be called, the idea would be that the king of the metals is supplanted by the philosophical child, which makes me think of the mimic. Like the last we see of M2, it's in Edwin mode of
Mm-hmm.
like, and it takes over the factory and it pulls his Zeus and kills his dad.
He
Um,
puts bombs in his belongings. Yeah.
he puts lines in his belongings. So like there's like multiple different metaphors
Mm-hmm.
for the Philosopher's Stone fits in with the mimic, and I think you can kind of think of the mimic program or framework as from William's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
The mimic framework is the Philosopher's Stone itself.
It is the
So
alchemist's
William,
fantasy.
yes, William is going to use that to achieve immortality.
Mm-hmm. The alchemist's fantasy.
The alchemist's fantasy.
And that's why he creates Glitch Trap,
Yes.
which is a whole can of worms.
Yeah, I
That,
don't want to.
yeah. I don't even want to look at that outline I've created for that Glitch Trap video.
Yeah.
It's
I
a
mean, you're
it's
still
a
working on the
beast.
hand unit video.
Yes. My
You become the
hand unit
hand unit.
video.
You
My
become the hand unit expert.
my forsaken hand unit video.
I mean, it is kind of all my fault. We were talking about hand unit. I was like, oh yeah, hand unit's F10.
That was not what my video was going to be, but now it is.
Yeah, because
And
that's how you understand the hand unit. The hand unit is my wife.
because I hadn't thought, right, so initially my idea was what the video, like the conclusion of the video is going to be, right, is that hand unit was sort of like a device with sort of a mimic-esque program in it, a la the Cleanovac or like the coffee machine or whatever. It's sort of a similar thing to like some of the products that Edwin was creating, but like by After Robotics this time. That was sort
Yeah,
of my
like
idea
yeah,
initially.
and like as I said, I think it's like a cloud computing thing where there are like
Mm-hmm.
multiple hand unit tablets. But what they do is it connects you with the entity that is
The
controlling.
network.
Yeah, it connects you with the like entity that controls the entire facility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah. So now
And
my
then that,
idea, right, is hand unit is just like the user facing component of this like network that spans this whole facility that's being controlled by F10 and 4.
yeah, and then F10 and 4 is being controlled by Mechthis, because also if you were like, oh, F10 like built the Pizzaplex, why the fuck would she do that
Mm-hmm.
if Phasma Entertainment doesn't have a way to force her
Yeah, and
compliance?
that was the one reason, like I think initially, like very early on, I had the idea, oh, the hand unit is F10. But then I pretty quickly scrapped that because the thing that I couldn't figure out was like, why would F10 and 4 be doing all the things that hand unit does? And then you brought up the idea of like, oh, MXES is controlling F10 and 4 and like forcing her
Yeah,
to work for Fazbear Entertainment. And I went, dang it, that's
yeah,
true.
'cause, like, I think that's implied by, like, all the F10 is controlling the Pizzaplex
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like, if she was, like, a rogue AI, she wouldn't do that. She fucking that I mean, that's why I think she wrote the I think Vile Band is exactly what she'd call the glam rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her rotten children.
Her rotten, stupid children, as opposed to her children with actual
As
brains.
opposed to her perfect David child.
As
Her
opposed to
philosophical child.
her philosophic, alch No, it is the philosophical child. Yeah, almost
Her
did what the
her
publishers
perfect
of Loafers want.
alchemical orphan.
Yes. Um. Yeah. So like, yeah, hand units F10. Because also like, you probably know this better than me because you've been going through all the hand unit
Oh
ones. But
yeah.
hand unit is very reactive to what you do in a way that makes me
Mm-hmm.
think that it can't be normal, realistic AI. It has to be magic AI.
Just specifically, I literally went through in sister location and looked at like every single thing he does, right? And so he cannot see, but he has like motion sensors, he has like light sensors, he can detect like
You know
if
who
there's
does
an
it? You know who has
object
motion sensors?
in a room.
You
Yeah,
know who
F10
has
and
motion
4.
sensors? Yeah,
Yeah.
dispatch does.
I'm getting to
Yeah,
that part right now in my script
yeah.
talking about, yeah. I honestly I totally forgot that he even like talked about that, but like I was, after writing all this stuff about like hand unit, I went to, go watch like all of Dispatch's dialogue, and I heard him talking about like, oh, we picked this up on our motion sensors, and I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So okay, here's the thing. So when I first started playing Secret, like at the beginning of Secret Mode, I was actually taking notes.
Mm.
And one of the only few things I wrote down before I forgot I was doing that was, how do they know what the motion sensors in MCM are saying in like Fazbear Entertainment headquarters? And Dispatch doesn't seem to be reacting perfectly to what Arnold's saying. Is Dispatch already an AI?
Interesting.
So like, I'm kind of in the boat that like it's not that Dispatch
But then
takes over
I'm
after
thinking like
Jack.
what is the moment, like then what is that moment where it's like the
I think
static?
it's always. I think it. I think that's
But
just
he like
showing.
his inflection changes completely after
Mhm.
that. He goes from like
Yeah, but
talking
I
like
mean,
a regular human to sounding like hand unit.
that's a good point. I think the rest of the fandom is right.
I mean, I guess it is a good question of like how does Fazbear have access to this system already?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's also like, okay,
it's possible some of like the employees that came in and died like managed to like tap into it or something.
what? And the again, you got to remember, the internet does not exist.
Yeah.
Networking within single businesses in the 70s is not like, especially with like Edwin writing custom protocol. Oh, people watching, this is another thing. I'm getting a computer science degree. So that comes up a lot with FNAF. So networking within a single business in the 70s is not completely ridiculous. Like they had mainframe computers and then
Yeah.
like terminals scattered about, and like Edwin writing his own like email protocol is like, it's not 100% realistic, but it's like it's got the vibe of being realistic.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is connecting two desperate locations that are, when like all the MCN infrastructure was designed, a different company. That's not that's just full bull crap of like,
Yeah.
how how are you doing that? Are you so is like rate, because like the whole it was dispatched the whole time idea is that because the people in Fast Entertainment are so used to taking orders over the radio, and the Mimic can use and the F10 can use the radio, that she just uses the radio long
Mm-hmm.
range and like says like, "Hey, put the data diver in this guy's
I
van,"
mean,
and then
he could be lying.
oh, about the motion sensor?
Yeah.
Maybe. Or maybe like F10 is like sending I
Maybe
don't
or
know.
maybe yeah, F10 and Fazbear are already in contact. They're already working together.
Oh no, she's like trying to take advantage
Yeah.
of them. She needs to get the source code. I don't know. I mean, I think the other thing that makes me think that is that in the bad ending, Dispatch says that I haven't spoken to you
Bad
all
ending.
night,
Yeah.
which seems a little bit weird if the last time they spoke was midnight.
I mean,
And
like
like,
the very like opening cutscene, it's still light out, I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
Well, then that's as he's driving to MCM.
Wait, is the game 6 PM to midnight or
So I think what
midnight
happens,
to 6
right,
AM?
is the opening cutscene, it is daylight, right? When Art like we're first introduced to Arnold and Dispatch, and he's like driving down the highway. But then once you actually start the game, right, it is nighttime when he arrives at MCM.
Okay, that kind of breaks the whole like 2 hours away is a thing they cut because it doesn't fit with the lore anymore idea. Interesting.
So
But
it's
yeah,
like
like
he's
the
been
whole it was
driving for a
dispatched.
while. Or I mean, I
Yeah,
think
the whole
the opening scene, I mean, it could be like, I can't remember if it's like broad daylight or like sort of like
no, it's sunset.
yeah, sunset, yeah. So he had to drive quite a while.
Yeah. Um but yeah, like the idea is like the way what dispatch says in the bad ending does not track with it dispatch before Jackie being the real dispatch, that like it's been F10 the whole time, and that like Jackie falling down like shakes the building, and that's the like that. Because also like F10 is able to be more emotional as
Yeah.
dispatch.
Well, she
Like
starts out talking like hand unit, and then she like becomes more emotional as she goes. I feel like that could just be her like getting used to using that voice, I guess.
yeah. Oh yeah, like yeah. Well, no, I guess you're the dispatch expert that like dispatch sounds more human like at the end even before you like choose the parachute ending, because I was
Yeah.
thinking more of the the speech I'm always thinking about for certain reasons.
Mhm.
Where like that's dispatch, it's still Andy Field. It's Andy Field the entire time
Mhm.
until you like do the reveal, and it's like again, I think this is like part of why I find F10 very interesting, is like F10 presenting herself as a guy and like hiding behind a masculine persona until she has to assert herself as Fiona,
Mhm.
of like yeah.
Mr. Unit. Gotta get him in there. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I'm like,
I haven't I haven't gotten super deep into dispatch yet. That is like the part of the script I'm currently working on.
yeah. I think also part of it's also like just giving me ideas of like, oh, what they're gonna take the story next, of like in Ruin 2, you're going through the like sister location Ruin bunkers, and you have Hand Unit, but like because Mexis has been defeated, Hand Unit can now like do what F10 wants, and you gotta like power it up. Like that's your Freddy for Ruin
Mhm.
2 is Hand. Like I think that is something they might do, and then like you like unlock more of its abilities as time goes
Yeah.
on.
And
That's just me being like, that could be cool.
something else I thought was interesting, like a connection between MCM and the Pizzaplex, right? Is that both of them have like computer terminals, throughout, which have like Helpy as their mascot almost.
Oh yeah. Well, again, that's just more on the pile of the F10 design the Pizzaplex.
Exactly.
Like that's the thing a lot of people believe. Why else would there be Fiona Wires of Doom?
Why else would Michael's room be there? I think
Yeah,
it
if it's
is
not
interesting.
weird.
Like Michael's room has, it has the exotic butters. Where did those come
Yeah.
from? When it is, I think it is implied that like at least part of the construction might have just been entirely automated, where it was just F10 and 4 sending orders directly to like staff bots to just build
Yeah, like
stuff.
it's the AI. No, it's AI generated like architecture designs.
So I
Um,
mean, like they just build anything without questioning why.
yeah,
They'll
because it's
they'll put a
AI.
basket of butters in this room. They don't care.
Yeah, and that's the same with the random like help wanted rooms, because like choose observing help wanted. Like the Hand Unit aspect of the help wanted game is like something Phazant added to the demo that
She
the
was
Meth
in
is
there.
playing. because like hand unit is what, and like hand unit will react when you come back from the tape room.
Mm-hmm.
But like just my perspective as someone who knows computer science is that if it was as easy to detect when you go to the tape room as it is in the real world, they would have been able to just delete the tape room. But the tape room is presented to us as like
Yeah.
some sort of space in between the memory blocks. And so you can't just write a simple if statement to detect if someone goes there. You
Mm-hmm.
need a fully conscious AI watching everything Vanessa does. And so that's like how all that's how all that stuff ends up in like F10
Well,
like
I
training
still need
data.
to think about like how does F10 and 4 like get into Help Wanted? You know, like how is she connected
Oh,
to
and
it?
you just build like an no, it's like Vanessa is streaming Help Wanted to a computer that F10 can look at from the inside.
I mean, it seems like F10 and 4 hand unit is just like a part of the game. She's just in there.
Well, so in the Curse of
Or
Dreadbear,
she's
I'm
like
trying to remember.
connected to it at least, right?
Yeah, in Curse of Dreadbear, that's when you're like actually getting gameplay instructions from hand unit.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole idea is that Curse of Dreadbear is like some sort of antivirus that is flushing Glitchtrap out of the released copies of Help
You
Wanted.
get some gameplay instructions in the regular Help Wanted.
I think they're all stuff that hand unit said in Sister Location.
That's hand one. That's Help Wanted 2.
No, there's the Foxy level in regular Help Wanted.
Well, I know in Help Wanted 2, there's all like the levels where
Yeah.
you like do like maintenance on the classic animatronics. Hand unit is like walks you through it.
Oh yeah. But that would just be a record of hand unit doing that, having done that
Yes.
in the past.
And that is, yeah, that's something you do in Sister Location in
Yeah.
Security Breach.
The idea is that like most of what hand unit says is not something that would be in the release build. Because you got to remember, we're not playing the
Yes, a
release
lot,
build of
yeah.
Freddy Fazbear Virtual Experience. A lot of it is talking to the beta tester.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking that is hand unit in the present, and then everything that is in the mini games is either something that the Silver Parasol devs got access to the hand unit text to speech,
Yeah.
or
Just
the
pre-recorded
mimic.
dialogue.
Yeah, pre-recorded dialogue. The mimic is, or they were just like, hey, can we make this authentic Fazbear Entertainment instructions? Can you have your AI system that's been controlling your infrastructure for decades read this out? Which is like the same thing Henry does. Because you
Yeah.
don't need, when it's a video game, you don't need complex AI to detect what people are doing.
Yeah.
You just need the hand unit to read out those lines.
I mean, it seems like they used the Mimic program to program. They vibe coded that entire game, basically.
Yeah, well, the idea I think is that like Glitchtrap coded a lot of the stuff at the end, especially the entered vent repair, like the really crazy
Yeah.
levels, like the pizza party level with all the random
The
crap in
things
it.
where it's like, how in the world would Fazbear know about this stuff?
Yeah, and that would be Glitchtrap adding to it,
Just
or
glitch up
also
like,
like
wait until you hear what happened to my son. He had entered inside of him, dog.
well, it'd be like that time Ennard tried to escape and it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Because like that's the idea that because the fun times refer to that as an event that happened in the past in Sister Location, and the idea is that an event repairs a representation of that.
Wait, do they
And
say
then
that they've like attempted to
yeah, they
escape
said like we've
before?
tried to escape before, but
Mm.
they've always caught us because we don't
Yeah,
because we
yeah,
look like
yeah.
Ennard.
Because
So
we're
I'm gonna go
Nord.
inside.
I'm gonna go inside you,
Yeah, it's
dog.
like, and that's why they have no trouble escaping. They already know how to do it.
Yeah.
They're just like, but we need a
They've
disguise.
been in the vents.
So we going inside of you, dog.
Yeah.
Um, and then my idea for Help Wanted 2 is that it's actually taking place inside Glitchtrap's subconscious.
Interesting.
because I think my theory is that Glitch Trap is just like how M2 seems to start off with F10's memories and then becomes
Mm-hmm.
David. That Glitch Trap started off like that, and then William put his quintessence, come from his penar, metaphorically speaking, into Glitch Trap. But if you go into like Glitch Trap subconscious, and that's why there's all those Fall Fest levels and why there's
Yeah.
the sister location levels, and then everything that's like working at the pizza plex is just stuff that happened to the player like a month ago.
It is
or
interesting. All the different like locations throughout like Help Wanted are all locations that are part of the Faz plot.
yeah, and so I think like the setup of you like in the FNAF 6 building with that computer is, I think that some of those levels you play are just Cassie's dad's memories
Mm-hmm.
of him like doing
Just
Fazbear
actually
maintenance
just
and
doing
like
maintenance.
testing, and also the like ruined levels are stuff he had to do to get down
Yeah.
there.
Like at
Like,
least the putting like the face on Roxy and stuff had to
yeah,
have
like we
happened.
know that's why I'm thinking that, like we have evidence that these levels happen. So I think the ruin levels, like he had to pacify Chica by making pizza for her because he had to do that in the
And now she's
past.
all moldy.
And then he had to pacify DJ Music Man by playing his funny DJ game. Like it's showing that like he knows the quirks of these animatronics because he's worked with them for a while.
Yeah.
And like the Bonnie Bowl thing, and then like so he like does this whole adventure, and that's like he's leaving those. He's also, I think, because I think like Vanessa, Gregory, and Cassie's dad go through and they like set up all the security nodes
Mm-hmm.
after the earthquake frees the mimic, and they're also like, we're gonna defeat Glitch Trap for good.
Yeah.
It involves, they end up they trick the dad into turning into Maskbot, because I think both endings happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so yeah, like the Fall Fest levels are in Glitch Trap's subconscious, and so is all the Help Wanted levels, because Glitch Trap is based on like a copy of
Willie.
F10 that was made after rentals started.
Mm-hmm.
So like Glitch Trap does not have the memory of being hand unit during the sister location game, because I think William's already in the wall at that point, but obviously
Mm.
depending on where you place sister location in your timeline, that could change. But you know, all those tasks are repetitive. Like technicians have been doing them for
Yeah.
years. So
Yeah.
you're able to make those levels. And then actually that would be an event. That would be where the an event repair data comes from. That would be
Oh, yeah,
hand
hand
unit.
unit was there.
Hand unit was there, and also like William's perspective of cleaning up after the aftermath. But it's so weird because none of them really saw it directly. They just know that that's something that happened, and they know what Ennard looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously, we all know why there's the Helpy level. Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that like Glitch Trap is a copy of F10 after Hand Unit was made. Actually, that would explain all of the like Help Wanted levels, all of the sister location levels in Help Wanted 1,
Yeah.
because like that's just shit people have had to do.
Yeah, hand unit was just there.
Hand Unit was there. People have been doing that over and over again. Mike's only special because he got
It is
entered
interesting.
inside of him, dog.
It is interesting, the Mangle vet repair. Like, what's that about?
Yeah, I don't know. But it is a like FNAF 2 fast plotism.
Yeah. Also, Mangle is Funtime Foxy. No.
Well, no, my thought is that Mangle is Funtime Foxy, the original Funtime Foxy with a hook, and then after they gave that to be Toy Foxy, they made a new Funtime
Mm,
Foxy, which also explains why there are two Funtime Foxy designs. The one in World doesn't line up perfectly
yeah.
with the one in Sister Location.
I
They
mean,
just built 2 of them.
the one in World just is repaired Mangle.
Yeah. Repaired Toy. So Toy Foxy is a Funtime Foxy, but they just built another one because you got to remember they can just build more of these.
They
things.
can do that.
They can, in fact, do that.
And something that's interesting about Hand Unit and Help Wanted 2 specifically is that he sort of like plays the part of all 3 of the different like unit characters we've seen.
Yeah, there's subtitles, different ones. Like for some reason, Dread Unit is the one giving you instructions in the Endo training minigame, which would be one of Cassie's dad's actual memories.
Well, yeah, because that's
like,
you're in the Pizzaplex.
Yeah, Pizzaplex before it was destroyed. Like that's you marking up data to be used in training.
Well, yeah, there's Dread Unit, right, in the actual like Pizzaplex, then there's Hand Unit in the Sigil location levels, obviously, and then tutorial units in the intro.
Yeah. Because of the sixisms.
It's all the Faz plot.
All the Faz plot. And then also like
and actually I didn't know that they like had different names like in the actual like subtitles.
Yeah, they got
Sorry, I keep another
looking
look at that, yeah.
And seeing the squished improper transparency organization.
I don't know, I can't figure out how to like resize the images while keeping the aspect ratio.
Usually if you hold down shift, that'll do it.
I tried, it didn't work.
What program are you using?
I don't know, man.
Where did you find? How do you not know what program you're using?
Paint.net.
Oh. Yeah, okay.
It's like, it's just like Paint if it was slightly fancier.
Yeah.
All right, we've been at this for 2 hours.
Yeah, that's good. Send me the image so I can send it to Gibby.
Right, we do need to do like an outro of some kind.
Oh yes. Okay. So thank you for listening. I hope these ramblings make sense. You can find me on my channel at AbsolX Guardian, where I do not post, but you can see the videos I've already made, and I will be showing up in other FNAF Theorist videos.
Yeah, you're
Not
gonna
like
be
in voice. They're gonna credit me.
Gonna be showing up. Well,
Yeah,
you're gonna be showing up in one of my videos, but that's long time coming from now.
But also I'm the co-founder of Pregwin.
Yes, the co-founder of Pregwin. One of your many accolades.
Gonna put that on my resume.
So yeah, everyone. I've been Meat Loafers. Like, subscribe, all that. You know what to do. Press the buttons. Press the silly buttons. And while you're at it, go over to Absol's channel. I'd recommend her video on alchemy.
You gotta do another take.
Damn it! I recommend, just for more context, if you're still confused what the hell we've been talking about this whole time, watching their video on alchemy.
Oh, and also go to Gibby's 36-hour video on frights
and watch the whole thing.
Go to the field, the section on the field.
Yeah,
and learn about
there.
The field. And then also I'm there, and I will tell you facts about history and like when everyone kind of went crazy in the 19th century and invented all these new religions. I didn't even talk about that in this because it just didn't come up.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye and good night.
Meat Loafers out. All right. Yeah. I just gotta end it real quick. Let me pull it up.
Yeah, and so then I guess you record it live, but you're also gonna like edit it.
Yeah.
Down.
I mean, I'm gonna try to edit it a little less than I have been, but yeah, I'll cut some stuff out.